Hi Archers! A few updates ago, Archero released 2 new item slots, the Bracelets and the Lockets, each item granting you extra stats. In this video, I'll be showing you which generally is the best to use of each category, or figure out which is better for your playstyle. My name is Teeds. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe and click the bell for more Archero videos. I'll leave 2 timestamps in the comments down below so you can skip to the item category you're interested in. This video is based on my testing, numbers, and my experience. You may not agree with me, and that's perfectly fine. First, let's go through the bracelets. It's good to note that depending on the rarity you have, the stats may be a little different. The higher the rarity, the better and stronger the stats. All the information in this video will be in the item's epic rarity. All bracelets grant attack in all rarities and 15% crit damage at epic rarity and higher. All effects of the bracelet will happen at the beginning of every level in your chapter. In 4th place, as the worst bracelet, is the Split Bracelet. The Split Bracelet summons a clone of your hero. This clone lasts for 7 seconds. I found that the clone fires around 4 to 6 attacks and the damage is 65% of your base damage. This damage does not increase with any modifiers. In my opinion, the reason this bracelet is the worst is because the clone sometimes can spawn in walls and will not hit anyone. The attack is slow and can miss quite a bit. This makes this bracelet's special less reliable. The clone is also countered by walls, so if all your enemies are behind walls, the clone will not be able to reach them. In 3rd place is the Blaze Bracelet. This bracelet burns 3 random enemies lasting for 2 seconds, ticks for 15% of your base damage. This damage does not increase with any modifiers. The reason why the Blaze Bracelet is better than the Split Bracelet is because it is much more reliable. In 2nd place, as the second best bracelet, is the Thunder Bracelet. The Thunder Bracelet strikes lightning 5 to 8 times on random enemies located on the map. This damage amount is random, so there were no calculations I could do, but majority of the time with a base health of 2044, I dealt more than 1000 damage each strike. The reason why the Thunder Bracelet is placed above the Blaze Bracelet is because the Thunder Bracelet tends to deal more damage than the Blaze Bracelet overall, and because the number is random. While you could get a low number, you could also get a very high number. It is not limited. And coming in 1st place as the best bracelet is the Frozen Bracelet. The Frozen Bracelet randomly freezes 4 to 6 enemies for 2.2 seconds. This bracelet does not deal any damage, but even so, it still is, in my opinion, the best bracelet. This is because the 2.2 second time frame of 4 to 6 enemies not dealing any damage means you can attack enemies much more freely and get some shots in. While there is no damage effect on this bracelet, it gives you a small window where you can deal much more damage than any of the previous bracelets. Some of you do not like freeze because it can mess up boss animations. I would say there should be an exception for this bracelet. You will not be cancelling out any boss animation because the freeze effect happens as soon as you enter the room. This again gives you a small window to damage the boss, which can make a big difference in your boss fight. After that time frame is gone, then the boss will resume as normal. There is a con to this bracelet, and that is it is bad against enemies who are in sync. With the chapter content we have so far, this only seems to be a problem on chapter 11. There are a couple enemies on that chapter where it is very important for them to be in sync so you can succeed in beating that chapter. I would suggest switching to another bracelet for chapter 11. That is all for bracelets. Let's move on to the lockets. Again, it's good to note that the stats will be different depending on the rarity you have. The higher the rarity, the better and stronger the stats. All the information in this video will be in the item's epic rarity. All lockets grant health and 30% increased chance of the angel healing you for double the amount at epic rarity and higher. Let's start with the worst locket, and that's the Iron Locket. The Iron Locket reduces the collision damage by 20% when your health is lower than 20%. So this locket is great for when you're against melee enemies that especially rely on collision damage to hit you. Enemies like the bees and the bats, and also quite a few bosses. Why I put this in last place is because generally the damage we often take is not from collision damage. Collision damage is most likely the lowest source of damage you take from enemies. Of course, there are some exceptions in the late chapters, but even then, the enemies deal so much damage, and if you're below 20%, they'll probably deal more than 20% of your health. For example, I have 9,812 base health. Now this does activate at less than 20% health, but we'll just put myself at 20% health. So if my Meowgic was at 20% health, that would be 1,962 health. A tentacle mob on chapter 13. deals 4,160 collision damage. The Iron Locket grants me 20% reduced damage. That's 832 damage reduced, which would equal to 3,328 damage. So yeah, that's a joke. I would not survive that. In third place is the Bulletproof Locket. The Bulletproof Locket reduces the projectile damage by 20% when your health is lower than 20%. So pretty much the same thing as Iron Locket, except slightly better because you're more likely going to take projectile damage than collision damage. These two lockets could maybe do better if you stack them with items and heroes that also give you reduced collision and projectile damage. We also have the reduced collision damage Talon Iron Bulwark. Assuming that this is all additive, let's see how much this would actually be worth if we had heroes and items that were in favor of these lockets. A level 40 roller gains 20% collision damage resistance. Iron Locket grants 20% reduced collision damage when lower than 20% health. At the moment, I have plus 225 collision damage reduced from my Talon Iron Bulwark. Let's say I had roller at level 60 because a level 40 roller would probably not do too well on such a high chapter. I would have around 8,715 health, and at 20% health I would have 1,743 health. If the same tentacle mob hit me for 4,160 collision damage, with 40% reduced collision damage and 225 damage taken off, I would take 2,271 damage. I would still not have enough health to survive the hit. This, in my opinion, is very limited to stack because you may have to use a hero or item that you don't want to use. However, I can see this being better in early stages where the enemy deals a lot less damage, but for late game, I would say it's pretty bad unless they choose to reduce the damage enemies deal later on. If you're having trouble in the early levels of your chapter, I would still not suggest using these lockets because, for example, if I was having trouble in the early levels of a chapter, I would probably not make it in the later levels of the chapter. So in my opinion, there really isn't a point making the earlier easier if I can't beat the easier enemies in the chapter I'm struggling with. I could see this working for players who have high strong gear for the chapter they are on. Coming in second place is Agile Locket. When HP is lower than 20%, dodge increases by 15%. I'll explain why in a bit, why it's second place. And that leaves Angel Locket in first place. Angel Locket grants a 25% chance to revive and be invincible for 2 seconds. However, it is said that it actually is available once per life. So when I say once per life, this is what I mean. You have 1 life when you start a run in Archero. In that 1 life, you can proc the revive on the Angel Locket. If you have an extra life from the devil, that's another life, a life reset I would call it. Then you again can proc the revive on the Angel Locket. If you use a free revive or a 30 gem revive, it again is a life reset, and then you can proc Angel Locket once again. This means if you're extremely lucky, you can have 5 additional chances in beating the chapter. It is extremely rare though. It's happened to me at most maybe 4 lives in 1 run, and that's only happened once. Other than that, I've had 3 chances with the proc, and that's happened maybe twice now. I am not sure if this is a glitch or not. It does say available once only, but they did not specify per run or per life. Going back to dodge. Dodge is not additive, which makes the percentage of dodge even lower. I use a dodge build and I still choose Angel Locket over Agile. An Agile Locket grants you 15% dodge when you're lower than 20% health. Lower than 20% health in later levels will most of the time mean that you're 1 hit away from death. An Angel Locket grants you 25% chance to revive if you get hit. Comparing these two together, that's a 15% chance versus a 25% chance to survive, which basically means with Agile Locket, you have an 85% chance of dying, and with Angel Locket, you have a 75% chance of dying. Angel Locket activates on a lethal hit. You do not have to be lower than 20% health. You may not even sit in the threshold where Agile Locket will activate. Not only that, but Angel Locket also grants you 2 seconds of invincibility, which means you can use that window to move your hero to a safer position or quickly defeat the threats you're facing. Plus, of course, what I spoke about before, the additional chances at the game can make it pretty worthwhile. This is why I stick with Angel Locket over Agile Locket. And that is all for today's video. It's music/comments time. Hi Dezanga the Great. I would actually suggest to chill on chapter 13. The item drops there are really good if you can at least reach level 20. I agree, FMV Loco, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. This chapter is honestly so much harder than chapter 7 pre-nerf. I am struggling so much. And I was so close, Mazador. I was so close. Thank you to everyone who has commented on the previous video. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe and click the bell for more Archero videos. Any likes would be super appreciated. Let me know in the comments down below what bracelet and locket works best for you. I hope to see you again for the next one. Bye!